Hey, how is it going? The time is 12:45 a.m. on Tuesday, May 18th, Pacific Daylight Time. You're listening to Eric on the World. I am your host, Eric. Well, the thing I said wouldn't happen at the onset of this podcast has, which is we've dipped into Tuesday territory. And I beat myself up a lot for this, and I don't know why, right? It seems like, well, just pick one simple thing and stick to it, and what is this, episode 28? This is, I believe, the first time I've dipped into Tuesday territory. So what can I do? If I'm 27 for 28, then I feel good about myself. Thank you for listening. If you're watching me on the video here, you will see I am inside and without a mask on. I'm in one of the study rooms, which, at this time at night, thank God there's nobody studying here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do this. But also, I'm not wearing a mask because I believe in science and I'm following the CDC. I knew that this would happen when this whole thing got politicized from a year ago, from fairly early on. All the data suggested there was like 1 out of 5 or 6,000 cases out of China that they said that it was contracted outdoors. Now, are we going to believe everything that China says? Look, it's a bad time in the world to be commenting on that. But no, come on. But nonetheless, then I read a report recently from the New York Times that said not a single case in the world has been attributed to casual outdoor interaction, meaning dining next to someone else without a mask on, walking by someone else without a mask on. But so the problem is most people seemingly contract this at home or in a enclosed workplace. So all the people that were shaming everybody for wearing masks outside, not wearing masks outside, really, it's like when you go home to your fucking wife and kids, that's when you should be putting the mask on. That's when you're most likely to be around people for the longest period of time and pass it on to somebody else, more than sitting next to someone in an airplane where they filter the air every whatever the fuck it is, 6 minutes or whatever. No, when you're snoring next to your beloved for the fucking 6.5 hours of sleep that you're getting after swapping spit with them and reading your kid's bedtime story, that's when you're going to pass it on. But it just blows my mind. So while the people were out riding their jet skis and fucking, playing beach volleyball in Florida and California and New York love to shit on states that disagree with them politically, even if the science suggests otherwise. Meanwhile, they're telling everyone to shelter in place, go into your 120-person building apartment, don't leave, cough into the horrible ventilation system, press the same elevator buttons, touch the same door hot handles. In New York, all 3 of my roommates that were there last spring, sheltering in place, all 3 of them got COVID. Why? Because they were all 3 in the same fucking place, never getting out. So everybody, the CDC is a conservative body in terms of it doesn't want to take any risks. And everyone is shitting on people who wear red ties for not following CDC guidelines. And now when the CDC guidelines tilt in the favor of what we have labeled as people who wear red ties behavior, we all of a sudden decide, no, the CDC is wrong now. And you can't have it both ways. Just follow the science. They've found in Germany that a lot of science bodies are recommending that these outdoor bans on gatherings are actually hurting the problem. 1, because it's so unlikely to get it when you're outdoors. But 2, it's making people just have these gatherings secretly indoors. So you kind of have to do a harm reduction here thing, which, if the science is to be believed, being outside is a tremendous reduction in harm. So I'm all for it. Not because it aligns with what I want or that it's uncomfortable to wear a mask or whatever. I gotta say, shaving the beard made a world of difference in terms of dealing with that mask situation, right? I'm not getting like a hot towel on my face every time I mask up. Just circulating my own breath amongst my pores. But it's what the science seems to suggest. I would have said that it suggested this for a year now. But I would always comply. Like, I'm not an anti-masker. I think masks do a tremendous job indoors. But now the people who said that the CDC is the end-all be-all can't agree with it. Yes, of course you could be more conservative. Yes, of course you could walk down the street and reduce your harm by wearing a helmet on your head. But when people say, what's the harm, I have to really disagree with there being no harm. I just had my niece's 6th birthday, and they're in their developmental years, and they spent the first, hour of their own birthday hidden under a picnic table. On Mother's Day when we came over, not wanting to come downstairs. It's been a big problem. My sister's notices, they've had problems with being socialized. And if I may say, in this building I'm in, some people who are a little younger than me have had some problems being socialized in our digital-driven age and our COVID-driven age. I do think that these masks cause issues in that regard. Of course, it's worth it to stop the spread. But the science seems to show that the spread is not stopped outside by the masks. Just being, you know what the fuck I'm saying. The problem is, I'm in California, I'm in the Bay Area, and I'm in Berkeley. And so it becomes a political statement. When you walk down the street, you have to let people know which side you fall on politically, which obviously in Berkeley, it's like, how far to the left can you go? But if you're not wearing a mask, then suddenly maybe you're watching Fox. Maybe you're a Breitbart person. Maybe you're an OAN person. A wolf in sheep's clothing. So it creates a social pressure. So then sometimes it's like you decide to wear it, but then you're like, wait, is that what the other person's also doing? I feel like you have to be the person, much like crossing the street in Berlin, and even though the man is red, you got to be the person to say, no, we need to do what makes sense here. And start the revolution. Unmask. Show that it can be done. Because this is a matter of a social contract, but that contract has changed, and now we're honoring a defunct social contract. So we have to flip the contract where people should be able to do whatever they feel comfortable with. But the point is that people are being made to feel uncomfortable following the CDC guidelines. That's the problem. So you got to flip the script. We got to make the people who are shaming others for not wearing a mask feel uncomfortable. That's what I'm advocating for. And, maybe a new strain will come along and totally change this. And then people will point to this in some clip that they'll extract when I'm running for some fucking political office 10 years from now. And, but I'm just working with what the science has given us right now. Okay. It is today. I was not wearing a mask. I bought a Diet Mountain Dew because that's not something that they have in other countries. And I was walking and I was just permanently holding it up to my face as an excuse to well, he's consuming something, he can't wear a mask during that. And then I thought, these people are judging me. And then the fact that I'm drinking a Diet Mountain Dew, that doesn't help either. I've further labeled myself as some sort of redneck yokel. I don't know where Mountain Dew got such a bad rap. I don't know if it's because they started to target people who are really into the X Games, and having their taint ripped open by those little bars that stick out on the back of the bike when you land on it wrong after doing a triple wheeled axle jump. That's a real thing that happened to a BMX guy. You can look it up. He ripped his taint open and blood and urine and all that stuff. Ugh. Yeah, but you do feel the social pressure, and you're like, when is this gonna? I think I'm gonna honestly say it's gonna be 6 months before people in their entirety pretty much stop wearing these things. And I do think if you're sick and you're on a plane or you feel a tingle in the back of your throat, by all means wear a mask. Those people shouldn't be shamed. There should be no shaming of any sort either way, But I don't know. Part of the reason that this is late is we had special dinner here at this co-op at CZ on Saturday. And when I was relatively sober, I was good at resisting the cinnamon bun, the weed-infused cinnamon bun. Now, if you've listened to any other episodes when we've talked about drugs on here, I do not mix well with weed. In fact, all of my worst drug experiences have been on weed. And I was doing totally fine till 1 a.m. or something. when I was no longer sober, and I thought, fuck it, what's the worst that could happen? And I ate one of those things, and I woke up probably about 10 a.m. so fucking high out of my mind. Really, like, not, like, barely functional. I came and I went back into bed and I had to wake up again to do room bids because I am moving out of this co-op, where the older, more mature people are going to be, like me. But I am moving to the grad student co-op, so that's good. Woke up for that, went back to bed. I had class at 3 a.m. I'm like, I know this sucks, but I'm just gonna sleep until 3 a.m. and then deal with and I slept through the class all the way till noon the next day, today, Monday. Woke up still feeling high as fuck. A lot of that's because, like, I very rarely mess with weed, so on top of already being weed sensitive, but man, these things were strong as hell. Like, when you talk to people like my parents who grew up in the 60s and everything was like a more or less organic weed, and they're like, oh my God, I can't handle the stuff today. And that's what they were saying, like, in 2005. Well, fast forward the 15, 16 years, I can't handle what's being made today. It is crazy. Like, I really didn't start feeling sober till about an hour ago. So I was literally asleep. Like, I couldn't function. I did try going for a run today. Partially successful. Say largely not successful. When you live outside of the Bay Area, I lived in Chicago, New York, going around Europe. Chicago and New York are exceptionally flat cities. And you don't really come to appreciate the difficulty of running hills until you have not been running hills for a long time and you go to run them. Like, on flat ground, I'm still, like, reasonably decent. But on the hills, it just absolutely kills me. And so in Berkeley, they have these things called the fire trails. And I'm not sure if that was meant as, like, an escape route because, like, the Oakland and Berkeley hills have had so many fires through the years, like, or if that's a route. I'm just thinking, I guess if they cleared it out, it would be a way for the brush fires to stop at certain intervals and then to get, like, engines up there to put them out. I don't know. Obviously, I could just Google this, but they have these things. They're called the fire trails. Just to get to them is basically a straight run up hills and up these stairs. Absolutely dying. But then they have this one, I'm just going to venture to guess, like, 200-foot stretch where it's just straight up this trail. And the challenge back in the day was, like, could you ever run all the way up it? And that's still a challenge that people try to conquer. And I trained myself 15 years ago to run all of that and then continue my run once I got up to the top. So I thought I'd give that a shot, and did not go well. This is my second time today trying. I can't even make the whole fucking run to get there. It is straight uphill, up a bunch of stairs. Gorgeous view. But that's my latest thing to try to like not get as fat as quickly. It's been a real shit. It's 0 to 60. Not even like entirely intentionally. Like, yeah, I started drinking again and that fucks with my eating. But even like, it's so fucking messy here, man. The kitchen is so fucked up. You can't find a clean dish. You can't. It's like I can't be on my eating thing of like I'm gonna make chicken and lentils at 11 at night. Like I can't even find a fucking pot to cook things in, let alone like an extra knife to cut things with. You're assigned a plate, a fork, a knife, and then you do what you will with those things. But not like a cutting knife, not like an extra. So if your dishes are dirty, you're done. There's nothing else there. But even if they're clean, it's like, okay, I'm going to use my butter knife to cut my raw chicken, and then you have to clean that all over again. It's just yeah. But doing what I can. Yeah, I've decided it would be in everyone's best interest for me to move to that grad student house. It has been a lot rougher going here than I thought. I touched on that a little bit last week. I don't feel like I can fully talk about everything, but like just some of the age comments that have been said, and then how that's like blossomed out into like just being not included in stuff. Like the special dinner, which is the end of the semester, like grand party with like really nice fancy food. Every co-op does it. They did it when I was an undergrad. I like came up and 95% of the food was gone. And like no one had told me it started. Most of the alcohol was gone. But I mean, like the food is the thing, right? And like, so I ended up making a plate. I found it's like they rearranged the seats to be like high school cafeteria benches. And I found a little place to sit. And I'm like literally sitting all on my own. Totally like out of a movie. No one's talking to me. They turn the lights off. Everyone's dancing. I'm like, I'm not going to start dancing. Like, that's going to make things weirder. So I just like walked back to my room and I started laughing out loud because I really did feel like I was in high school. And I was like, this is why I started wearing a trench coat. This was like, why? And I'm 15 years older. Like, why is this socially impacting me so much? And I think regardless of age, like, right, I don't have like a social circle here. All my friends in Berkeley are living elsewhere. If I had like, oh, well, I had my 5 or 6 friends over and I had my own thing going on, but it's like I don't. And I did think in some sense I was going to plug into like the community and culture of the co-op. And like that has not happened at all. It's been quite the opposite, where it's been like feeling like very cold responses and just, I know I'm older, but I don't even think it's that. It's the generational difference. Like people just don't talk to each other, engage in the same way. Then I'm coming in at the end of the semester where everyone's like been quarantined together for a year. I felt it after 2 nights. Like I literally, that's the primary reason I shaved my beard. I was like, is this creating social distancing for me? Is this adding another 10 years? So I shaved it earlier than I wanted to. I was going to have that fucking beard. I was going to debut that, have its European debut in Germany. I guess I had it when I left. But point being, I've been feeling it from the get-go. And I was like optimistic initially. And it's just not worth it. It's fighting an uphill battle, you know? And there's other things I like, can't. There's been some shit before I even got in the house I found out about. That's like assaulty stuff that it's just a bad environment to be in. So getting out of there and into the 25 years old and over place where I know the house manager's 35, so I'll be in at least some similar company there, right? Oh, and then I bought my ticket for July 5th to España. So there is a path forward to Europe. Germany's still in lockdown. I've kind of heard July-ish. They think that things will kind of be getting back to normal. So hang out for who knows how long in Spain. Thank God, be in the same time zone for school and stuff like that. Speaking of which, I have class in 6 minutes. So I have to go. Yeah, that's kind of the latest. Oh, I'm reading this one book for this class I'm about to talk about, called Lightning Rods. Oh my God, you got to look that up. Like, not at all. It's a self-help class we're in, and I know this is like a fictionalized novel. It's so funny. It's not at all what I thought it was going to be about. If you have a perverted, twisted brain like me, and you know, coming from like the sex work industry, knowing a lot about porn and how that works, and just like demented fantasies, holy shit. This book touches on so much of that stuff in a really funny, compelling, indulgent way, like not pulling punches. And it's really interesting. A woman wrote the book, but from a man's perspective, and I think she nails so much stuff. And I'll be curious in our discussion to see how much of that was interpreted as like a send-up of the male psyche, but also how much of it is like actually touching on legitimate thoughts and concerns that people have. So I did reach out to that author. Oh my God, that'd be awesome to have her on. And I've just like come to accept, look, it's just hard for everyone to schedule right now. So I'm going to stop talking about when I'm going to have guests on or not, because I know like I've promised 3 times now and it hasn't happened. I'm working on it. I'm doing the best I can. I can't beat myself up too much. Hope you won't beat me up too much either. But I will continue to put the content out and do the work, and then, right, I just have to be ready and prepared. And then when the opportunity comes, when the great guest comes, when whatever, I'll be ready, because I've been putting these things out. I'll have my skills sharp and honed. But for now, it's me. I hope you like it. at Eric on the World. Please leave a review. Do all the stuff that I always tell you to do. And you can check this out on YouTube. Subscribe if that's a more compelling way to listen to this. And look at that. Like, is that little ceiling fan in the background kind of getting the rhythm going for my talking? All right, I got to edit this after my show. This will come out early Tuesday morning, depending on where you live. On that note, until next time, no matter where you are in the world, be well and be loved.
Romance, throw itself off the 30th floor, get up, wipe yourself a look